Hello, and welcome to me unmuted now. I always have tech problems now, it's so weird. Welcome to Dolphin's Dive, the weekly strategically minded Handelabra stream hosted by Logic Dolphin. Handelabra believes in civil rights for everyone and in being as inclusive as possible, so any comments or activity actively working against those goals are not welcome and will not be tolerated. You can follow us at Handelabra Games on Twitch or Handelabra on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. You can follow me personally at Logic Dolphin on Twitch, Discord, YouTube, or pretty much any avenue. Sentinels of the Multiverse, Sentinels of Earth Prime, Bottom of the Ninth, One Deck Dungeon, One Deck Galaxy, ANZ, and Spirit Island are all available on Steam, iOS, and Android devices, with the exceptions of One Deck Dungeon, which is also on Switch, and One Deck Galaxy, which is in early access on Steam. You can find more information on those games at handelabra.com. Hello, hello, hello. We are playing One Deck Galaxy today. Been putting this off for a bit because, well, it's been a while since I've played the game. And there have been a couple of updates. I don't remember how many I've been privy to. There's one upcoming, which I'm kind of demoing today, I guess. I don't think it's been shown on Handelabra Live yet, but the release is imminent. And it's campaign mode! Oh my god, a campaign button! I know there's a description for it here. Let's take a look and see how campaign mode works on digital. Want to see all the galaxy's possibilities? Enter our Federation Simulator. Try many combinations of homeworlds, societies, and adversaries over a 6-game campaign. When you click Start New Campaign, you'll be presented with a randomly generated campaign sheet and roster and the options to select a 1 or 2 civilization campaign. And that's what it looks like. Your campaign sheet shows your scores and a network of nodes that you can activate. Active nodes provide benefits during each game, giving you a leg up on the more challenging adversaries. Your campaign roster shows which homeworlds, societies, and adversaries have been selected for the campaign. While you can choose any combination for each game, by checking empty boxes, you'll be able to activate nodes. So, 2 types of nodes, Jumpstart and Ability. Jumpstart nodes are represented by Energy, Materials, Diplomacy, Ultratech, and Fleets. During the first turn's gather phase, dice for all your active Jumpstart nodes are added to your pool before rolling, and fleets are added to the starbase. So they jumpstart your first turn, giving you more dice, giving you more things that you can do to get starbase stuff, or to collect cards to, jumpstart the game, as it were. There's also ability nodes. Abilities provide additional benefits to the players. There are 2 types, regular and passive. Regular ability nodes have a ring around them. As an action, a tech disc is placed on an ability node to use its effect. These tech discs are not removed during the cleanup phase, so each is usable only once per game. So, for instance, if I have this regular ability node to set a die to any value, on one turn I can activate it, set a die to any value, and leave the tech disc there for the rest of the game, and I'll never be able to use this ability ever again. So at one point, I can set a die to any value. Passive ability nodes do not have a ring around them and do not need discs. Each player gains the benefits shown for the entire game. So with no ring, I'll just permanently have 2 fruit resources. I forget what they're called, but you'll permanently have this if you add that on. When you begin a game, each homeworld, society, and adversary will have a number of boxes on equal to the number randomly assigned by the roster. There are 3 categories of boxes. Black box or a dot have not yet been used. Blue box are about to be used in the current game. White box have been used in a previous game. You can kind of see them at display here. In the above example elements, Zibzab, Explorers, Mathematicians, Nibelubers, and Dark Star Syndicate have all been used once in a previous game. Plum Plim, Botanists, and the Hungry Nebula have been selected for use in this game. The remaining homeworlds, societies, and adversaries have not been used yet in the current campaign. And you can kind of see all that there. So the blank boxes on the left and the right, and then check boxes in the middle. So you can kind of see like your progress for the campaign in the middle. I've not played this yet, so I'm kind of just making guesses. By the way, I've literally never played campaign mode. We'll figure this out together. When a homeworld society or adversary contains more than one box, it can be used more than once in the campaign. In the above example, the Hungry Nebula will be used in the current game and can be used a second time in a future game. So yeah, Hungry Nebula over here was used in the previous game, can be used, or yeah, it's being used in the current game, can be used in a future game. Also, hello Pala and hello Nezu. Pala is the resident One Deck Galaxy expert. Not really, I just like to think that. Campaign tracker. The campaign details can be found in the middle of the new game screen. This provides a variety of information about the campaign, including civilization and adversary trackers for all previously checked light blue and currently checked medium blue boxes. Each tracker has some boxes that also contain a dot in them. When a new dot is reached, it means that you'll be able to gain a new advancement on your campaign sheet before you start the game. Ah, so the dots mean the nodes you can activate on the campaign sheet. Once you click to begin the game, you'll be given a chance to select which advancements you want for the upcoming game in all future games. You may gain from 0 to 2 nodes depending on your selections from the previous screen. To gain a node, click on it. Selections can be changed until you are satisfied. So, since you can only gain 6 nodes, so that means you're not unlocking the entire thing, right? So you have to make decisions. I guess we'll see. But you start at start, and I guess when you gain a node, you have to make a decision as to which branch you want to go. I'm sure it's going to say here. At the end of the game, your score is calculated. If you win, your score is 2 points per star on the adversary plus 10 points for winning. If you lose, your score is 1 point per star on the adversary plus your Federation level, highest player of a 2-player game, plus 1 point per adversary disc claimed during play. Final score, after 6 games, your total score will result in a fabulous trophy reflecting your achievements. Sprout, up to 39, Leafling, 40+, Brancher, 55+, Shrubkin, 70+, Strongbark, 85%, Legend Tree, 100+. Obviously, you want to go for Legend Tree. Also, the ranks and the trophies are designed by Plumplim. Fun fact. And that's the end of that. Palace says you can get a maximum of 12 by the end of the campaign. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, so you still can't get all of them because there's more than 12 on there. There's like 18, it looks like. But sure. Sure. Still have to make choices. Can't get everything. Can't hoard everything. Campaign. Also, explanation is there. That's how I could have gotten to there. History shows your campaign history. As you can see, there's no history here. We have no history. Start new campaign. And it says this was randomly generated. Is that true? Yeah, I guess so. You can re-roll, but I can't go back to the previous one. Cool. So I clicked it a few times. Whenever I want to shuffle, I always click the button a few times. I don't trust the first click because it's going to be sticky. I know that the physical game had a campaign sheet thing. I don't know if this is like literally the same. I don't know if this is, I think this is different over here. I know this is based off of the physical. I don't remember if this is on the physical. I never actually touched the physical campaign mode, but we'll see. Anyway, I'm gonna go with this. You could perhaps re-roll this in order to get your campaign sheet that you perfectly want and a campaign roster that you exactly want. But I'm not gonna do that. Interestingly, we're not playing as Zibzabs, I guess. Zibzabs is out. Also, I guess, because I think the last time I played One Deck Galaxy, there were 4 adversaries. So a 5th one came out that I have yet to play. So that's going to be fun if that pops up. I'm going to start the campaign. Begin a 1-player campaign. The number of players for this campaign cannot be changed after this point. I don't really play 2-player, so you know. So this shows the sheet. Captain's log. This saga has not yet begun. Okay. So... and every time you hit a dot, that gives you a thing. So every time I hit an adversary, that's going to give me a dot. Unless I choose an adversary that, well, I already fought him too many times. Can I select Zibzabs? I can, but that doesn't make progress on my civilization, on the civilizations. So ideally, what I should be doing is a new combination of homeworld, and society every game so that I can get all of these check marks. Because we can only do 6 games, right? So if I choose Zib-Zab, I'm not making progress on the civilizations front. But as long as I'm doing 2 per game, like 1 homeworld, 1 society, then I will get a node. I get a node for, it says, at least according to this, I get 1 every 2 game, or every 2 choices on the civilizations, 1 per adversary. Is that also how it shows in the manual? Is that always the order that it goes? I guess so. In fact, if you're going for the maximum campaign score, you'll have to forego some campaign progress and choose Preservation Society Hard as the adversary every time, as that is the only 5-star difficulty and score is affected by adversary difficulty. Interesting, because, yeah, it said 2 points per star plus 10 for winning and nothing else. So if you want 100 points across 6 games... Hashtag math, that's 16.7 points per game. Right? So you'd have to have an average of 6.7 points on the adversary, which means you have to play an average of 4 stars. But I'm not worried about points. I play Spirit Island. That also has points that no one ever cares about. All right, well... I could play Zib-Zab. I'm not going to play Zib-Zab. I'm just going to do my usual where I... Oh, there's a random button. Is this actually... Oh, this is... Oh, yeah, we had this conversation, actually. I can hit random. Not we had this conversation. I think it was somewhere in the Discord that there's a random button now. It's not changing the Zib-Zabs, though. There we go. I hit random. There's a random button now. All right. I hit random until I got away from Zib-Zabs, as that was the only one that makes no progress. We now have Plum-Plim's Scientist's Optimization Calibrator. And this is the start of the campaign, so it's essentially the same as a new game. Yeah, so... Plum-Plim's starts with 3 energy, 4 materials, 3 diplomacy, and the plants. That's what it is, plants, not fruits. Base milestone is to have 16 science. Base tech, floral ingenuity, move any number of influence from one location to another. We're playing as the scientists. Their milestones are have 4 activated techs, have 5 activated techs, and as an action, spend 7 tech discs. Their special rule is that you can use a starbase disc as a tech disc or 2 tech discs as a starbase disc. Their base tech is mobile laboratories. At base, spend a fleet to launch a probe. At Federation level 3, spend a fleet to launch a probe or study a location. Federation level 5, spend a fleet to launch a probe and or study a location. You can do both. Generally, once you're at Federation level 5, you can win the game, so it has to be a really strong thing as well. By the way, if you've never played One Deck Galaxy before, this is basically One Deck Dungeon, and that's all you need to know. No, not at all. But the adversary, the special rules that we have here. When they escalate, roll a die from the supply and place it in the cache, ignoring all restrictions. At the start of their action phase, if the adversary has 4 influence, discard them. Choose 3 cached dice, or 4 if there are 10 plus cached dice, and move them to your pool. So cache is from the memory cache. The optimization calibrator stores dice during the game. Any dice on the adversary are part of its memory cache. These dice are not returned to the supply during results. Each die placed using the cache input action must follow all restrictions. Black dice count as their own color when evaluating restrictions. So they store dice over the course of the game, and you get to get 3 or 4 of them back once the adversary has 4 influence. Reminder that the adversary phase starts with gain influence, which puts a card underneath them, or not technically a card, but gains an influence. You know, once they are at 4 influence, you discard them. There's elements to this I don't want to get too deep into because I don't want to explain the entire game from scratch. But anyway, but during our action phase, cache input. As an action, you may move 1 die from your pool to the adversary's influence. Each influence can hold 1 die. These count as if they were in a cache for restrictions. You cannot cache a die if there are already at least X dice of its color in the cache. You can only cache a die that is higher than all dice of its color in the cache. It's weird then this used to be separate restrictions. These are the restrictions that are currently true. And at the end of the results end of phase, move the dice from the adversary's influence to the adversary card. For each influence that did not have a die, you are overwhelmed once. Reminder that overwhelm means that you are that you're game over unless you spend an adversary disc to not lose. And the event cards basically roll a die from the supply, add against the cache, but adds a new restriction that will make it harder for us to cache dice. And generally, it's a good idea to confront this adversary sooner rather than later, because if you never confront, you will lose on turn 6, as you will not be able to place dice, mathematically speaking. You can only place 2 dice of one color. That's what this X is referencing. Unless you confront once, then it's 3, and then you can move on. So Paolo says, Plumplim Scientist's Optimization Calibrator is one of the easiest combinations, so it's a great way to start the campaign. Thank you, Randomness, for giving me that. So, advancements remaining 2. Oh, so I can actually do this immediately? Without even having started the game? What? Or do I start with 2? What? What? I can choose 2 of these things. Can I undo these? Yes, I can. Okay, so we get to start with this. I was gonna say it's basically a new game, but I get to start with this right out the gate. That's exciting. So what do I want? Reminder that these take up a tech disc to use, so I can add an influence to a location once. Or 2 influence. I can't get down there yet. Free resources could be good. Obviously, it's way down, but do I want to build towards that is what I'm thinking. There's also starting with Ultra Tech dice on turn 1 could be pretty good. Might be able to just take dice to start with, honestly. I don't know about resources. I guess like 2 waters could be a good resource to start with, but resources are typically hit or miss. You don't usually have enough of them for most techs to be worthwhile unless you're playing as the one homeworld that allows you to borrow all resources that are in play on the Discovery Zone. At least in my experience. I've played a dozen of games, therefore I'm an expert in this game. Resources make a huge difference for the explorers. Yes! That's also the one where they borrow the resources, but yeah, I see what you mean. Because they also have milestones based on resource counts. So if you're not playing the explorers, then resources don't matter, is the corollary. I'm kidding. I'm happy to just take those as my start. Let's go. Yeah, I was just joking. All right, so we start with 2 fleets, and the random science card was 2 science, so it's a pretty bad start. We discovered the Unseen as our starter, and that's our jump start. Okay. Yeah, I know the techs that have secondary benefits, you have certain levels of resources. I mean, obviously that's like a huge mechanic here, like Force Reactor, if you have 3 fuel, gain an energy 6. I feel like I never typically try to build towards that. It's just more like, oh, if I already have this, it's great. But like, I currently have 0 fuel, so it would take me 3 additions to make this happen. Tessellating Sprockets obviously is a really strong one if you can claim it, but you need to have like, yeah. I don't pick and choose resources. I just go for the techs and the dice I need. But maybe that's high level play. Maybe if you're a hard level player, you have to be mindful of resources. Paolo is currently judging me hard right now. All right. So moving influence, we can't do this turn. Spend a fleet to launch a probe. Currently a probe is 3 dice, but a fleet is, well, other than this level, it's 1 dice. Obviously, it's a lot better to use that to get science. And don't we also need to get, yeah, we need to get 16 science. So this is dead obvious. And it got us 4 science. Hot. Yes. All right. We have to cache a die at some point. And thankfully, this build allows us to pull dice out of the cache input, and we also have an undo button if we don't want to do that, because the very, 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 very first version of this game did not. This was before, like, I think there were only 2 adversaries at the time. I probably shouldn't advertise pre-alpha stuff, I guess. Anyway. Oh, you know what? Since I spent the fleet, I don't actually get to fight the unseen. Maybe that wasn't an obvious decision after all. Maybe I should have looked at the state of the board. It's okay. This is only, like, a 2 science card, so it's not... Like, this is an indicator of difficulty, generally, and so this is not too hard to fight. And I currently could have confronted it or whatever, but... Not confronted. I don't know what you call it. What do you do when you put dice on an encounter? This is confronting. You can peek. You can peek now. Peek at the other side without flipping. Cool. There's all these bells and whistles that have been added since the last time I played. I'm happy now. All right, so we have all these extra dice. Obviously, if we do nothing with them, it's a bit of a waste. Ooh, You've Got Mail is here. You've Got Mail is one of my favorite locations because it is so easy to get influence on them, and with my floral ingenuity, I can move the influence in and out as needed. Like Rice Twin, I have to spend 2 dice to get 1 influence, or Ocean 1, I have to spend at least 3 dice to get 2 influence, or 6 science and a blue 6 to get 3 influence. But You've Got Mail, I could just be like, hey dog, I got 2 influence. Sup? I generally don't like spending more than 1 die per influence if I can avoid it. I don't have any 4s though, which is annoying. Hypothetically, I could have covered both 10s if I had a 4, because I could have done 6-4 in one and 5-3-2 in the other. Because bear in mind, all dice here must have different values. I think as it stands though, yeah, without the 4, the next I could do is 3-2-1, and that's not 10, that's 6. Ocean 1 is here. Ocean 1 is the worst. Ocean 1 is like, hey, I'm going to be evil. There's a remove dice thing, by the way. How does this work? Do I just hit this button and it removes it? Click cards, rows, boxes to return. Okay. I was wondering if it was going to remove all of them, like 1 deck dungeon, but it doesn't. It's actually pretty handy because you generally want to plan out your dice and not remove them all at once, right? And we definitely don't have like this, so like, do we want to try to like confront once with the dice that we have? I mean, we don't have a 4 again. Do we have enough pips? We do. So we could confront. Confronting is going to give us an adversary disc to prevent game over and will allow us to store 3 dice of a color. Doesn't really make much progress in terms of the, you know, state of the game. Because I will be using my jumpstart dice to do that, and I'll start turn 2 with basically nothing except the adversary is now at x equals 3. Which doesn't seem wise. Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. I do think I like getting that influence, as I can transfer that as needed. Can I still confront if I were to do that? No, and then not even close. I need 2 pips here, and I have an excess of 1 there, so obviously it doesn't work. So fun, I can just do that. Alright, well... Ocean 1 is an annoying one to leave out there. We could transfer influence over to there to claim it without having to study it, because that will discard 3 cards. Gives us diplomacy. We don't really need diplomacy, right? We just need... We need any color on the right, and on the left we need materials. Our swing gives us an energy and a diplomacy, neither of which are materials, by the way. You get 2 influence from 2 dice in the lower left card too. Yes. All dice must be the same value. That's not gonna work either for getting to 22, right? Especially because I no longer have the materials. Okay, well, I think we're not gonna confront then, because I feel like we can get more out of this if we just throw dice on the locations and then throw the rest here in some capacity. I don't want to gain the 1 fleet, as that's too many dice. It's 3 to probe. I don't want to study Ocean 1, and if I'm going to study Rice Twin or You've Got Mail, I would not put dice on there. So I could just gain 2 more fleets. I can only probe once anyway. Might as well gain 2 more fleets then. So I could hypothetically deploy Satfield next turn. But then I wouldn't be... Oh, I can't actually because I'm not at Starbase level 2. Well, actually I can. I can because I'm the scientists. I can use 2 tech discs as a Starbase disc. So I could actually do that. But yeah, I caught myself and then I re-caught myself when I said that out loud. It would mean I'm not using these techs though, and it would mean I'm not confronting the unseen, whatever you call this. Fighting, defeating, screwing over. The official terminology is screwing over when you defeat an adversary. Might be nice to upgrade the Starbase regardless. We'll definitely be able to do it. It'd be nice if I get a 2 so I don't... I guess if I get a 4 it works. Then I won't have an overflow. Overflow just means that you lose science, I guess. I don't know. Alright. Oh. No, no! Undo! Undo! Undo. Abort! 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 I forgot the very important thing! There's a cache here that needs to be filled. Okay. We're gonna put a 1 of some sort there, which means that... I don't know what that means. I mean to have dice I can't use now. That's annoying. I'm gonna put a blue 1 over there because I could also do a pink 1, but I have more pink dice, so I can more easily roll a pink 1 later. General advice for optimization caliber: put the lowest die that you can put in here. That's status quo. Okay. Yeah, it's kind of impossible to... really do anything more here. I could study Ocean 1 instead of gaining 2 fleets, but then I still lose a die. Actually, I guess I can gain 1 fleet. Yeah. I'm gonna get the 1 fleet with 2 dice that I don't like, but I can't do anything else, so... Alright. Probe. Alright, we can upgrade. And there is maybe a reason to not upgrade, as we probably want to build towards 17 science. But I think the first upgrade's fine. It makes the 1 fleet cheaper. It's just 1 die. And you can probe twice. And bear in mind that we're spending a fleet to launch a probe, so that 1 die turns into a probe, which gives us, like, you know, up to 4 science. Even if it just gives 2 science, that's 1 die for 2 science, as opposed to launching a probe manually, which is 3 dice for 2 science. So it's really cost effective. And this is generally how I plan out one deck galaxies. I think about dice optimization. As you only have so many dice, and that 3 is way off to the side for some reason, but you can fix it by doing that. Scientists have a milestone to spend 7 tech discs, which is easier with a high-level starbase. Yep. Because we can use our starbase discs as tech discs, so that can work towards that action as well. At starbase class 4, we'll have 4 starbase discs, so we'll just need to add 1 more from somewhere, which the Unseen could just very easily give us. So, speaking of the Unseen, can I confront? I have pretty terrible materials, unfortunately. Stop doing that. I'm not putting you there. Pretty bad materials. I don't have to confront right now, but I could spend a fleet to do it. I just wonder, like, how hard is it for me to miss the 3, 4, 5? We could also potentially roll an Ultra Tech disc if this gives me something, but it would have to. I would only want to do it if I probe for a 3. I don't like spending more than 3 science, but we probably want to hoard the science in any case. Could maybe claim Rice Twin instead. Although, actually, no, I can't because I don't have a materials 5. Remove. Or convert blue dice to black. Yeah. That is an option. Probably better to do that than to waste all of the, like, I could use this to cover up the energy 8. Sorry, materials 8. I never call the pink dice by the right name. I always call diplomacy diplomacy. I always call energy energy. I always call materials either diplomacy or materials or energy, depending on my mood. EDM. Oh, that's not even right. I messed up. EMD. Energy, materials, diplomacy. EMD. EMD. Well, remember that. All right. And yes, I could just call it by the color, but I like to be thematic. It's probably better to spend the 2 diplomacies than it is on spending the 3 materials and maybe a fleet, right? So, yeah, I guess I can buy that. Okay, so that's done. And we definitely don't have anything for You've Got Mail. We don't have anything for Rice Twin. I think we want to move influence to Ocean 1. Unless I just want to study it and get it out of the way. Now that I have the 1 die for 1 influence row, it's a lot easier to manage my dice. But wait. Wait. Cash. So I want to do a pink one. I guess I could do 2 pinks. I would like for this to be a much higher number, but we'll probably confront next turn. And when I confront, well, actually, I won't still be able. Won't be able to pinks in there. Okay, so I have 2 dice left over. Fantastic, and I can't use them for 2 fleets. And I can't use it to get Ocean 1 unless I move influence over, actually, and then I could study it I feel like that's a waste of a card, though, as if I move one influence, I have to pull a new card out from the deck to do that. Because of how influence works in this game and all. Is this any number of influence? Yeah. Yeah, I can move, okay, I can move 2 influence over, but I'm thinking like if I want to study this with 2 dice, I'd only want to put 1 influence here, but if I do that, I'm going to leave 1 influence here, which has to be a card, and I have to put 1 influence here, which also has to be a card, so. But yeah, that's, like, I'm only ever going to move an even number of influence that I don't have to build new cards, is my thought process. What else can I use my dice for? I'm not seeing anything. Hypothetically, I could have put... I mean, once I take that out, I can't put it back in. But I could have done that. I could also just undo, which I could always do. There we go. But I don't want to do that. It's kind of annoying. It's gonna be a waste of a die in some capacity anyway. All right, well, I'm gonna do the probe. I could spend 6 signs to roll 2 Ultratechs. Is that worth? Probably not. But if I gain 1 fleet now, I'm not getting a new card out of the deck, so. Nope, you'd spend the 4 card. Can I not, like... Yeah, no, I can do that. You don't spend... It's 3 science per Ultratech, but you can multiply spend the science. Yeah. I knew that. Aha. Plot twist. Student taught the master. Yeah, I guess that's all I can do. I guess hypothetically I could use this 1 die to study Rise Twin. But I'm happy leaving Rise Twin out, as it's not a hard location. I guess it's kind of hard. It does have to be the same value, but with You've Got Mail, everything's easy. Just move things out of You've Got Mail to feed influence. And I think I want the tech discs here. Rapid deployment gives me fleets, which turns into science. But tech discs are going to help with things later, so I'll take tech discs. Starburger. Return up to 2 dice to gain Ultratechs with their values. Interesting. Alright, so here... The dice that I put in here are dice I'm going to be pulling out next turn, most likely. So if I put, like, this 5 in, I'll get it next turn. If I put this 5 in, I'll get it next turn. I can't put a materials in because I've maxed out on it. So it just have to be like something else. But like I probably am just gonna take the materials out and leave 1 of each number in. Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. But I'm thinking this for now. Let's put that in before I forget. Having done that, what can I do? I don't have a 6. Alternatively, I could look to confront. Yeah? Although I'd only get one adversary disc, and for each influence that's not covered, I am overwhelmed, right? Yeah, so I'd have to cover at least 2 influence to do that, but it would increase the cache size, yeah. But a little too late for that. But let's see, maybe I could do this if I... Oh no. I need 11 more pips. I have 12 pips on here. There's no way I can make that work. Even if I want to... Like, I don't know, maybe I do something like this. But yeah, no, that still doesn't work. I need 4 more pips, and yeah, so I'd only be able to put a 1 in here at most. Seems bad. I could spend science and ultra tech. Yeah, but I could only spend 4 to roll 1. Okay. I could. Do I want to do that? Yeah. Eh. So I don't have a 6, so I'd have to spend 3 dice to get 2 influence on You've Got Mail. Actually, I'd rather do it this way. So then I could get 2 pips on, or 2 influence on Rise Twin. I could just claim Rise Twin. Those extra dice will make it easier to get other things, so I think that's smart. Yeah, I don't have enough tech discs yet for the last... I do need techs. But I kind of want dice. I guess this gives me a die. But since the first encounter didn't give me dice, I think I do want to get dice off this. And then we can start worrying about techs. I can get 2 fleets. If I claim both Rice Twin and You've Got Mail, I get 1 of each resource. Ha ha! Desolating sprockets! Activate! I'm gonna do this. Aha, I got a 3. I can get an ultra tech off that. No, I'm hoarding the science at this point, I think, to get to the 16. And I think, like, next turn when I get the dice out of the optimization calibrator, that's the time they should want to confront, right? Because you have lots of dice, although I don't have lots of materials. Again, I almost called it diplomacy. Yeah, that's all my dice. Take the dice. Uplifters. Okay, take those. Maybe? I guess this 2 is not any better than this 2. Okay. I don't have 22 energy. I don't have 22 diplomacy either. I feel like uplifters are too strong. With 5, well, actually, I'm only rolling 4. This was the extra die I got anyway. But with the 4, I'd have to roll 5.5 on average. This is going to be your best chance in a while to claim uplifters. This is my best chance ever, as I won't be able to get to the next reclaim dice off of optimization calibrator step without uplifters escalating, so... Let's stick to the first thought. I want to confront. Why did that have a different sound? Why do I hear different sounds? Oh, I don't need this 2 in. What am I doing? I don't know how to math. Okay. Maybe that's why. Because this 2 is extra? Maybe? Okay, I see. Because it activates the thing. Okay, I thought... I don't know how to add. I thought I needed 24. I guess. I don't... Thank God I noticed the different sounds, as I would have just had 24 on there, and Pal would be like, why do you have 2 extra pips in there unnecessarily? Noob. Okay. Yeah, I don't see, because I can't just confront with only the material dice. So I have to dig into my diplomacy and energy dice, which means I'm definitely not going to have enough pips for uplifters. I could spend my science to get ultra tech, I suppose. I think it's probably fine to just let uplifters escalate. Actually, I can't even spend the science because I have to spend 6 science on the card. Yeah, so I think that's just going to be a lost cause. So that's fine, because that escalating just means they get an extra die, but that's not the end of the world. Moving influence, I don't think we need to do that, so get another science. I think it's awkward to do it when I have 3 fleets, isn't it? Because that's going to lose a card. I don't actually lose the card if I were to do it with an even number. It's weird. All right, so let's think about, you've got mail. I would want to do a 6-4. To do that, I would have to spend more dice on here. So essentially, I'm spending 3 dice on here anyway. At the end of the day, I'm spending 3 dice and you've got mail if I go this route. Even though it looks like 2, it's actually 3. 6, 4, 5, 3, 2. Get a pip out. So that puts forward influence on You've Got Mail. Is that worth? It's impossible to know. Certainly these dice are not good for getting fleets. Not good for anything else. Alright, so let's do the probe. We get 11. So I need 16 to get the milestone. I need the next milestone in order to confront again. Just trying to see if there's like any way I could somehow... This is pretty tight. Just like the sum from 1 to 6 is 21, so there's only 1 pip that's left over. This is pretty much the only way you can get 10 and 10 on here, right? I guess you could do 6, 3, 1 on here. But then this would still be a bit weird. As you wouldn't be able to use... Yeah, no, because then you'd have to use 5, 3, 2, and then, yeah. Is there a 2 in the confront white? No. There are 6s, 3s, and 1s. I don't know how visible they are on screen, but they're 6s, 3s, and 1s. Obviously, if I can claim a 3 out, then I get a duplicate that I can put in the X2, but I don't have that. Oh, well. Actually, I guess, wait, could I do this somehow? No. 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 All right. I guess that's another question if I want to study Ocean 1. It's not doing anything for me. It's just taking up a slot, and it's really annoying. I'm wasting time waiting for it to go away. And I probably just want You've Got Mail directly instead, as I can get tessellating sprockets going pretty good. So I think I want to move an influence from here to here. And then study it. I'm not gaining any fleets or science. Or I guess I am gaining science, but I'm not gaining fleets. That's fine. Just get rid of that. I'm not going to upgrade yet. So I have to upgrade my starbase in order to confront again, so that's not a consideration now. We have an unseen. Was the other one I had also an unseen? It is. No. I rolled by clicking there. That might be a UI bug. Might be. Okay, I don't have 3 4s for this. We do have to put something into cache. Are we just gonna put this 2 in? I could get an Ultratech 1 in there, but that would be 2 dice I'm spending on that. I would like to claim You've Got Mail this turn, for sure. And I could decide whether I want to move 2 influence out in order to get... Like, if I want to do 2 rows here, I could put 2 influence on Starburger. Which could be fine, but I don't know. I do have a 6-4. I do have a 5-3-2. So I could do that and move influence out. I can't do uplifters. I pretty much have to roll an Ultratech in order to do unseen. I could spend 1 fleet to calibrate a die, but I don't have enough pips on the Ultratechs anyway. I could just wait 1 turn on that. Artisanal Ultratech's going to be fine down the road. It's only an Ultratech 3 right now, but once I get this level up, it'll be 4. And then obviously, once we're at Federation level 4, it'll be a 6. And a free 6 is always good. Yeah, so let's move the influence from here to here. probe. All right, it immediately achieves the milestone, which is useful to know that that can happen. I guess that makes sense. This is just a passive effect, basically. So now we can upgrade the starbase and stuff. Or roll Ultratechs. Does the cost for Ultratechs go down for any reason? No. That is independent of starbase class. Okay. So I guess we could consider, although I already moved the influence away, so I have to leave the dice there, so I guess I'm not considering. I considered and then I reconsidered. How about that? How about those marbles? I can do 2 probes. I am running out of fleets though. I probably would like to gain at least 1. I guess I could do 2 fleets and a probe. Sorry, 3 fleets and a probe. Okay. I want tessellating sprockets, please. And then probe. Adversary. Ooh. Maybe I should have considered that. It's fine. What's the worst that can happen? I lose? It's a banana, Michael. How much could it cost? $10? Alright, required precision. Roll a die from the supply and add it to the memory cache, ignoring all restrictions. Then this card is added as a new restriction. You must spend a tech disc to cache a die. Well, thank God we're the scientists. I might just want to roll Ultratech, because I have none of those in there. Alright, 3 isn't terrible. Twenso. All right, we have to spend 2 tech discs to cache dice, by the way. So let's not, well, we could also use starbase discs. So we really have 7 tech discs floating around right now. Hey, I could spend my 7 tech discs and get an adversary level or federation level, but then I would not be able to cache dice. And then I would lose. Losing is bad. I don't know how to state this, but losing is bad. Alright, we also didn't get 3 4s. That's fine. I guess we have this, actually. We should do this first before making decisions, right? Alright, well that one was not exciting, but that does cover a 4 if we so desire. Could also confront. Probably have enough pips for that. Before we got too far ahead of ourselves, what dice are we putting in here? Honestly, putting in a diplomacy 6 sounds pretty nice because I'm not going to be putting... Unless I confront and get this level up, I'm not going to be able to put diplomacy dice in next turn, so this 6 would be one of the dice I get back on turn 8. And making turn 8 the power turn is a pretty good idea, I think. It does lock me out of putting in diplomacies on the next turn, though. I could do the 3 diplomacy dice for the 3 influence. Hey! I like it when it's only 1 influence per die. Or 1 die per influence, I guess, is the better ordering. But yeah, that would... Actually, it doesn't even claim Starburner, but it does give me 3 influence, and then I would just need to do it one more time. Do I care about this, though? Return up to 2 dice to gain Ultra Techs with their values, or 1 diplomacy, 2 tech discs. Yeah. Twenso also sucks for influence. Like, holy crap. 2 dice for 1 influence, or at least 3 dice for 2 influence? Yikes. Accelerated study, launch a probe. I already have that We have a perfectly good accelerated study at home. The accelerated study at home. Or 2 tech discs. I mean, 2 tech discs is 2 tech discs. But I might just study Twin Cell. I don't know. I don't really care about Starburger right now. And this is the last chance to deal with Uplifters. Doesn't really seem like we have the pips for that, though, at all, right? I guess if I used all of my dice. But then I would not be putting any into cash. So that feels wrong. If I spent some science in Ultra Tech, I could do it, except well, I guess I do get a probe here. But yeah, I only have 8 science right now. Also, they're all 2s, so I'd have to spend 4. But I could use this Ultra Tech that I got to do the Unseen. I don't think there's a way for me to preserve a die or 2 pips off that, rather. Like, that's... I just put 3 pips out. So there's a way to do it and save a die. That's the way. I'm smart. So I guess that is the way. So before I click on that, though, I still need to figure out the cache input. Annoyingly... I don't have a 3 energy. I don't have a 2 materials. I'd probably like to do that one. I could do a 4 Ultra Tech. Sometimes you find it worthwhile to spend fleets, but exactly what you want in the cache. By the way, there's no backseating, so stop telling me how to play the game. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I could spend 2 fleets to make this a 3. I could spend 2 fleets to make that a 2. Or I could spend 2 dice and get an Ultra Tech 4. I mean, fleets are basically dice in terms of how I've been obtaining them. That's 1 die per fleet, so this is the most die efficient. So we're not going to be able to do Starburger because I put this one there. Or no, I put that one there. That's what I did. I guess that's fine. I don't really care about Starburger. Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn about Starburger. Alright, science. We can upgrade the starbase. So the last upgrade of the starbase makes the 3 fleets cheaper, allows us to probe 3 times, and it provides a discount on studying, which is pretty sick. So that one's probably worthwhile, right? Right? Yeah, I think I'm just gonna do this. Also, the 4th starbase disc. Probably just study Twinso. 3 fleets, study Twinso. I guess we don't really need science that much anymore, though, is the thing. Oh, I needed to do this, by the way. Let's not forget that. That's very important. Let's not forget that. I guess we could still use the science for Ultratex. We do need to consider our win condition, which is more techs. But we're gonna get this, and then we'll have 4 activated techs, and then we'll spend 7 tech discs, and then we can win the game. So that's our win condition. Okay? Okay. Alright, so this might as well be an Ultratech, because I don't think I'm putting an Ultratech in this turn. Actually, I could do a Diplomacy. I could do a Diplomacy. Let's do Diplomacy. Okay. That's just another die I can claim back next turn. Got Starburger and Ice Cream. And Rice Twin. Whole new field out there. Oh boy. Alright. I can't spend tech discs, right? I only have 8. I have to spend 3 here, so I have 5. So I can't do that one. I will have 4 activated techs, but I don't know the timing on this. If I use all 4 of my techs, does this immediately level up, or does it level up after this one resolves? Good roll for caching. After it resolves, okay. Yes, it's probably going to be this. Well, let's not do that yet. Moving influence. I do want to activate all of these, so I'm moving. I could move no influence, right? Can I actually? Is 0 a number? In the history of math, it was very hard for people to understand that 0 is indeed a number. But that's besides the point. So I guess, do I care about, am I gonna claim these at all? Maybe, maybe not. Starburger is no 1s, 2s, 3s. Ice Cream is no identical dice. Rice Twin is same value dice. Starburger is no 1s, 2s, 3s. Well, I have pretty bad dice for Starburger. That's for sure. I have pretty bad dice for Ice Cream. I have pretty bad dice for Rice Twin. So the answer to that question is no, it all sucks. Zero is the number. Yeah. All right, level 2. So it's just a probe. Unroll. Okay. Learned something for a second time. Yes. So I could put the 6 in there, actually. I think this 2 makes sense. And then probably just a die that I want to claim back immediately, if anything. So like we have the 6, we have the 5, we have the 4, or the 6. I guess it would be this 4 is what I would want. So I could just do a 3. Claim back a bunch of Ultratechs next turn. And then I can't really do anything over here at all, right? Seems highly unlikely. I would have to... Actually, no, I could do something here. Okay, it's 1 die per influence, so that's fine. Can't do anything with Starburgers. Can't do anything with ice cream. Okay, so it's all over here now. And 2 dice for 3 influence seems sexy. Study these. I don't know what I'm doing now. Like, one of the biggest struggles is understanding that, like, just because you can use your dice to get fleets and signs doesn't mean you should, because these are cards taken out of the deck, which accelerates the adversary. So, like, I could be like, oh, I'm going to probe 3 times. That leaves me with 5 dice. I could study Starburger and Rice Twin or something like that. Oh, my dice that I was going to use. Oh, that's easy to fix. Did it not go in there? Wait, what? Didn't I do it? Or did I not move it in? Wait. Why are you yelling at me? Wait. Wait. Oh, is it from left to right? No. That seems like a bug. Let me hit undo then. When did it move out? Also, I can't undo anymore. Well, we're back at this point. So presumably... Okay, now it's happy. But when I did all... Oh... Okay. Okay! What's the name of the button? Clicking the all button. I'm pretty sure that's what it did. Because look. Wait, it's not even spending things anymore. Hold on. So that took back Artisanal. It's supposed to be spending Starbase discs, but it's not. Oh. Very interesting. Okay. I think we figured out what the problem is then. And this is due to the scientists. Okay, I think that's what the issue is. So one of the random things, oh, I can't see it now. I used the word doesn't in my feedback and I didn't notice until after I submitted it. I randomly remember from college that whenever you want to submit a professional letter or form, avoid contractions, as contractions are informal. So every time you say doesn't, you should say does not. I think about that all the time whenever I write stuff. It's stuck with me ever since college 15 years ago. Anyway. I also don't know if that's entirely true, but about the contraction rule. There have been times where the engine and UI disagreed about whether dice should be placed in the cache. Makes it look like they're placed, but they aren't actually. Well, just in case, I'm going to... Oh, I can't undo this because that was a roll. Okay, I was going to try to get this tech disc back, but I can't. So we're going to cache a die with the tech disc. It should be using the Starbase discs. If I lose the game, I'll report that bug. But... because I can use a Starbase disc as a tech disc, so this doesn't say it can't. So... Yep. Definitely the 6. Definitely the 6? 6, 6, 5. No, not that 6. Okay, that's what I did. Don't click all though if I'm gonna do that. I'll just move it one by one. Okay, going back to the discussion we had before the bug. Do I want all these fleets in science because they're cards out of the deck, which will make the adversary reshuffle faster, unless I have a plan to use the dice, such as rolling for Ultra Tech dice, or spending $1 million to fleet, to calibrate. Also, the 6 is there. No more free dice, right? Okay. I feel like getting the 3 fleets is so cheap that I might as well do it, as 3 calibrations for 2 dice is pretty good. I guess it's a question of, am I going to reshuffle next turn? There's nothing being replaced in the Discovery Zone. They're gaining an influence, but that's not a card out of the deck. They spend time, so that is 1 card. 3 fleets is going to be 2 cards. There's 6 cards left. So if I probe 3 times, that's 3 cards. If I study, that will be replaced by a card. I feel like if I could... I probably just want to do as much as I can, but don't force the reshuffle, but just, like, get as many fleets and Starbase... Not fleets, but... I guess the thing is I can't have as many Ultratech dice as I would love, because there's already 3 that's going to be here, and I get 3 out of here, so I can't even use my science. So I guess I just get fleets then, and calibrate the crap out of next turn. I guess it'd be this, actually. Alright, so what did we say? 1 for time. 3, 6, 9. That's 5 cards there. So you have 3 cards left over. And I can't use the science for anything. I think I just focus towards winning at this point. So I'll spend 7 tech discs next turn. and then just win the game. I suppose if I could confront this turn. But I don't have enough pips here, do I? Calibrate that. Yeah, I definitely don't have enough pips. If I spend 9 science and 3 ultra tech, there's only 1 in the supply. And these are what? There's a 3 in there. I have to move this dice all over again. Actually, no, I can just undo because it's... Is this better or worse? Undo has the dice not in the cache. Yeah, they're probably not placed then. Although it is counting it as placed for rules. Except not, but... Why? Why? Okay, well, I lost the game if that's the case. Maybe worth exiting the game and resuming. Okay, let me just undo a million times first. I want to undo back to the Arsenal Ultra Tech, as I'm afraid if I exit and come back, it's not going to give me the undo options, I think. Okay. Wait, what did that say on the screen, by the way? This is resuming a new game, what it looks like. You can have multiple campaigns active at a time, by the way. No adversary discs claimed. Don't I have adversary discs claimed? I have the 1. Okay, I'm gonna submit that. Yep. Of active campaigns does not list adversary discs accurately. My current game says I have no adversary discs claimed, even though I have 1. But that means that I don't really have it because of the dispute between the UI and the engine, right? No, we definitely exited and re-entered, which means that it should be fixed, right? All right. Let's see. Does this work now? Nope. I can't take that out either. It's weird. All right, well, I mean, if they're not really being put in the optimization calibrator, then that means I'm losing unless I claim this die. So I guess I'm just going to confront. How about that? Whatever. You win. I'll just confront the adversary. It's fine. Arguably, it's better anyway. I mean, I guess I could see if it actually is. Since I submitted the bug, I can just load the bug to continue the game. Although I highly doubt it. You submitted this bug before, right? I'm gonna submit it anyway. So let's... I don't know what I'm due for this. I could just do this. Okay, so let's do what I want to do. Which is this one. And this one. And I know that they're not really in, so... But pretending that it is... Does it go away if I do this, by the way? No. So changing the screen doesn't change that. And yeah, there's no reason to get any science right now. So yeah, if I do this... Okay, yeah, it does give me the warning. Okay. Okay. And I should probably on then Trello put a link to the other bug for reference. Okay. But because I can cheat. Does this continue the campaign? No. Does that continue the campaign proper? Okay, well. I think it doesn't really matter unless you care about points, right? Because you still move on in the campaign even if you lose. Buttons. Buttons! Buttons! I don't want to click that! Alright. Alright, so we spent all of our adversary discs because of the bug. And I can only return 3 dice because I only had 9 dice in here. I find that exceptionally rude. But I can now do this. Which is valuable, as now I get a 6 off there. And that's my only tech that I can use, which is worse than tessellating sprockets, so I'm going to undo. Woo! I don't think there's any way to not have undone at that point. But yay, we did it. All right, and then there should be a button to just put all the dice in here. That's my new request. Have a button to move all dice into this box. Okay. And I'm wondering, I guess I'm just gonna get 4 fleets. Okay. As calibrating will just guarantee I can win, right? So it's kind of amazing how little you actually need to win a game. I have 2 colonies, and I have 2 techs. And this is winnable. I guess harder difficulty makes that less likely, but you know. But just like most games, you outpace the adversary over the course of the game, right? So the difficulty is in how much advantage the adversary has at the start of the game. I don't seem to have enough pips, fun fact. Maybe I will never have enough pips. Maybe that's the problem. I'm at 44 out of 55. Maybe that's the challenge. Science? I do have 2 ultra techs I can get, you're right. And I do have 8 fleets. So I just need 11 more pips. So unless I roll... I could just... Oh, I can only get 2 ultra techs, yeah. So unless I roll 2 ones. The game really made this hard on me, huh? The game was like, challenge accepted. Shut up. Shut up! That's not the box I want you in. Alright, we won! Yay! Okay. So. We got 2 points for the 2 stars plus 10, so that's 14. And it also shows the adversary discs I had. Was there a reason to log that? Also, it does count for that. That's cool. I feel like there was some note about adversary discs. It's just if you lose, you gain points per adversary disc. Okay. So wait, so 1 point per star in the adversary. So say that's the 5-star one. And let's say that you're at Federation level 5 and you get 3 of the 4 discs. Because obviously if you claim 4, you win. That's 5, 10, 13 points. Okay, no, that's not any better than winning. Good to know. Good to know. Okay. Okay. Well, let's start another one. That one took about an hour and a half. Let's try to do this one faster, I guess. But part of that hour and a half was bug hunting, I guess. Unfortunately, that was also the easier of the games, right? So I'm gonna hit random, but it gives me Zip Zap. And then it gives me Optimization Calibrator, which we've already fought. This one's fine. This is one I haven't fought before, by the way. Or at least I fought it physically, but that was like... That was a year ago. January 2023, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, Tim Tiddlywinks, Guardians, Optimization Calibrator... Or sorry, Preservation Authority. Yeah, that's all good. Okay. So Tim Tiddlywinks, 4 energy, 4 materials, 2 diplomacy, water. Milestone, end the results phase with no cards in the discovery zone. Tech, salvage rights. Roll an ultra tech die or use a tech from an encounter in the discovery zone. We also have Guardians of our Society. At any time, exile colonies. Sorry, these are milestones. At any time, exile colonies with energy, materials, diplomacy. At any time, exile colonies with 3 tech discs. At any time, exile colonies with 3 different resources. Exiling means you lose them and they're removed from the game forever, which means you get yourselves weaker, but you build up your Federation level, which you need to do to win the game. So why would you not want to do that? Well, our special rule, your dice ignore restriction and unlock text on location cards. So we can ignore all of those silly things and place our dice however we want. Such as you've got mail. Dice can actually have the same value. Yes! Our tech is nanoconstructors. Set 1 of your dice to any value. At Federation level 3, set up to 3 of your dice to the same value. At Federation level 5, set any number of your dice to the same value. Pretty much once you hit level 5, you win the game. Fun fact. All right, and then the Preservation Authority. Instead of gaining influence each adversary phase, the Authority preserves resources from either the top of the deck or a location in the Discovery Zone. And that's kind of very important. At the start of the adversary phase, preserve a resource from either the top of the deck or a location in the Discovery Zone. At the end of the adversary phase, for each type with at least X preserved resources, its matching event is played from the deck if present. This does not trigger an overwhelm. Escalate, 1 resource is preserved from the top of the deck. Defeat, each time a pending event is revealed, you are overwhelmed. Results, if the confrontation card is on the liberation side, discard 1 matching resource from the adversary for each filled row, max X rows. These rows do not impact adversary tokens. Okay. Right, okay, I remember this now. So you can flip this freely. If you're on the liberation side, you're not actually confronting the adversary. You're just freeing up one of the resources that it has claimed. And that's going to be very important because at the start of the game, if it has 2 matching resources, then it plays an event from the deck. And if you confront it, then it's 3, but obviously, yeah, confronting is difficult at the start of the game. And they also have the special rule that yeah, they match the event if they have X matching resources. And when they do that... Can I expand this, please? No? Okay. I can't look at this big size, I guess. When they do that, they actually get extra rules. Such as Morale Crisis. If a full set of all 4 resources is preserved, increase the number in every small box by 1, max 6. And that makes the game harder. Or... You cannot activate a tech unless each preserved crystal is covered by a tech disc, starbase disc, or a dia value 3+. So every time that they have crystals, it's harder to use techs. All sorts of stuff. They also have that special rule that each time a pending event is revealed, you are overwhelmed. So you're actually... You have to confront early, as if they go through the deck standard. Like, you know, as you claim starbase levels and fleets and stuff, and then you reveal the event that you set aside, but you're overwhelmed and you immediately lose the game. So you have to confront at least once before you go through the deck the first time. In addition to the usual overwhelm rule, which is if you try to reveal a pending event, but there is none, so you're overwhelmed earlier rather than later. If you're on the Grand Fleet side, this deals with the confronting as usual. So, like, you kind of want to do this ASAP, but you do need 6 fleets for that right away. Ugh. Ugh. Also, you have no choice. You have to confront this way. You have no say in the matter. So, good luck. Let's do it hard. What does hard do? 2, 2, 3, 3. And they spend 2 time. I like the sound, by the way. Yeah, it seems bad. Doesn't change these numbers at all, does it? Yeah, no, because it... Hard mode is simply just flip this card, is what it basically does. So it only ever affects these things. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. We have to claim colonies and then exile them in order to win the game. We also have to end the results phase with no cards in the discovery zone as well. Which... you would think this would help with that, but this is before the discover phase, so you would just change out that resource. So the best way to do that would be to study all 4 resources, presumably. Okay. We do have this. So we don't care about the resources yet. Adding influence to a location would make it easier to clear out the board on the first turn. There's no diplomacy on here, by the way. It's all energy, materials, and ultratechs. I think I go for 2 fleets, or 2 influence to a location, and then I can get an ultratech next time. So I start with an extra fleet and what? 1 energy, 1 material. Honestly, that's fine for this adversary. Oh yeah, that was the don't show again thing. I don't really... I think this is all based on what I just read, so I don't need to read this. I probably should for, like, proofreading, but... Okay. My campaign ability is here. Okay, so did the extra dice help? Obviously can't confront. And you claimed a crystal as your start because there was no thing. There were no things. There was no locations in the discovery zone. If I want to take the crystal back, I have to do a 5/4 and 2 fleets. I have nano constructors. Set 1 of your dice to any value. I have salvage rights, which I could use organic reactor to roll a materials, or I could just roll an ultratech. I'm guessing ultratech is better. That said, if I do want to add 2 influence to the location, that is going to take 1 of my tech discs permanently. So if I want to do that in order to work towards getting something faster, I'm not getting all 3 of these this turn is what that means. Hey, look at this. Guardians ignore restrictions. I can't even tell you what this does because, because they hit it. Was this new Hexfinity art, by the way? Or if I just never looked at it before? I feel like I just never looked at it before. I obviously don't have 7 science, so I can't claim Terra Infirma, but actually an energy and material would be pretty good to have. So I probably need to build science for that. Is it worth getting that crystal back? We can do it only at most 2 rows, right? That's the rule. Where is it? Results? Yeah, max X rows. I mean, the problem is this is going to cost me 4 dice. Basically. So what is the best way to use my jump start? Twinso is too slow, but it does give me 2 tech discs, which I do need for one of those. Ending the results phase with no cards in the discovery zone. I have an encounter, so I can't do that. I don't have 6 fleets. I need to build fleets. If I do spend 2 fleets on this, then I'm probably not going to have enough fleets next turn. Maybe. Probably still will, actually. As I will have 6 fleets. And the pips are going to be hard to guarantee. We do have nano constructors to help. We have an ultra tech die to help. We could, so instead of, you know, gaining influence, they preserve from either the top of the deck or locations. We could just take like Twinso, for instance. We want to be mindful of the fact that if they get to 2 of a resource, they will steal an event card based on that resource. But we can take Twinso because there's no waters. So you can only be on one side of this card. So if I confront, I can't take a resource back. I don't know if it's optimal to spend a turn gaining 2 resources back or just 1 per turn every time you're not confronting the adversary, but I feel like it's probably good to keep these numbers low. And what happens if they discard? Okay. This basically, like, I could do that for influence to gain a location. I could also use that to study, like, Twinso for free. Is a thought, but it's 2 dice. Or no, I'm not studying Twinso because I want the preservation to steal Twinso. So the way you usually play this adversary, you try to get as much science as you think you'll need, and then use water as your dump resource. Can I look at the event cards right now? Because I think I can't. I don't know what water does. Actually, I guess I can kind of cheat. If I go here. So the number in each wide box is increased by 1 for each preserved plant. At the end of the results phase, spend a fleet per preserved fuel. For each fleet missing, discard 1 card. For every 2 preserved water, the cost to study or launch a probe is increased by 1. Okay. So do the studying and probing early, and then just hoard the waters, is what you're saying. I guess that's fair. Kind of facing analysis paralysis right now. What is the, like, I don't want to waste my first turn dice, but I don't know what to I don't know how to use them most effectively either. I'm pretty sure I'm using salvatrits. The fact that I can only use 2 of these 3 abilities also adds another element of analysis paralysis, because which one am I not going to use this turn? On normal difficulty, confronting early buys you a lot of breathing room. Yeah, I can't confront. I can't confront. Literally can't confront. But I'm setting it up, yeah. Yep. I guess if I... Like, the danger of, like, taking the top card for Preservation Authority is that it could give the second of the resource. But if I take the crystal out, I could take the top card and not worry. If I study, or not study, but if they take Twenso next turn, even if I do the 1 crystal this turn and I confront next turn, then I'm not... Like, I would never be able to take the top card safely. Although if I confront, then I would be at 3, so I would be able to confront still. Decisions. So, what could Nano Constructors do for me? It could make this 2 into a 6, which would be the most... That would be the biggest jump. Does that actually do anything, though? I think we would like to confront or screw over Terra Infirma. By the way, screw over is the terminology for this. But screw over Terra Infirma to... So I would need a lot of science for that. So I want to study a lot. Studying Ocean 1 sucks. How many dice do I have? 7? I can exactly study Ocean 1 and Hex Infinity right now. Of course, if I do that, I'm not confronting. There's this extra element of... I only have 1 Starbase disc. So, like... I would not be able to take the crystal or the water next turn if I did that. I guess it's just gonna be what it is. I do have an extra die on Salvadroids. 2 influence saves me 2 dice if I choose to use that for study purposes. Heck, maybe I could take Ocean 1 if I roll good enough or something. I don't have enough diplomacy though, really, but maybe my Ultra Tech is good. Maybe Nano Constructors gives me a good number as well. I don't really see the diplomacy and tech disc helping that much though. Like Hexfinity would be better, as I could immediately exile that to get at a Federation level. But that's a lot of influence I need to build on it. It's gonna take a lot of time. Terra Infirma's existence makes this a bit harder, as I have to either get rid of it quickly so I could try to get this Federation level. Well, I guess I don't have to speedrun the Federation level, I have to speedrun the Confrontation first, so that I don't lose to the reshuffle. But then I need to get a Federation level in order to confront a second time. I guess, okay, priority number 1, confront, right? So... what helps with that? Anything? This is helping towards that. I guess I could probe instead of studying Ocean 1, as that will save the cards, because discarding 3 cards is really brutal. The fact that I can only use this once is, like, really upsetting. Because I would like to just use this every turn to get 2 influence to every location every turn. But that would be broken, I know. Alright, I'm gonna roll this one. Okay. So what does that do for me? I guess I could try to take Twins. If I take Twinso to get science for free, then we could load the Preservation Authority up on waters and just use this as my source of science. I guess that could work. Give the Preservation Authority 1,000,000 waters. The downside is I can't control the waters. This game is not gonna be a short one, is it? I guess it will be short if I just lose on turn 3, isn't it? Okay, so... I really don't like Twinso for influence. It's stupid expensive on influence. I guess the thing is, though, maybe don't think about it as influence directly, but more as like progress towards flipping the card. Since I'm not transferring influence between locations, maybe that's a way to think about it. So like 2 influence on Twinso, if I can claim it this turn, could be pretty valuable. To claim it though, I have this. Yes, I could do that. I think getting that free probe is going to be good. It would also be nice to have 2 tech discs to work towards this, but I think the free science means I could ignore water for the rest of the game. Okay. But then what am I doing with the rest of my dice? Just study Hexfinity, but then it's a waste of dice. Doesn't help, does it? Guess I could do this with 5s instead. That was not any better. That was decidedly worse. I just don't want to have excess dice on turn 1, as then I'm not using my kickstart, jumpstart, whatever. I want to use the 2 influence. So I don't have the nano constructors. If I'm spending 2 fleets here, and I'm getting 5 fleets back, then I can't, like, I have to get both of these. I don't have any spare. I feel like I'm overthinking this somehow. If I make this an Ultra Tech. So I get Twinso, I study Ocean 1, which is not ideal. Actually, no, I don't need that because I still need that crap. Yeah, then it still sucks. That was not any better. Go back to where I had the 2 and the 3 set up. Buttons. It's really awkward that, like, moving this 3 to here counts as 2 actions for undo. That's really annoying. Alright, we're back to here. So with this setup, I'm studying Hexfinity. I guess that's fine. I would probably want to get it, but this is gonna take me too many turns or too many dice, one way or another. So I guess it's fine to get rid of it. Take Twinso, take Accelerated Study. Study Hexfinity, get the fleets for next turn. Okay. So if I take from the deck, it's a chance it's a crystal. The crystal one was the fleet one, was it? Or was it the text can't be used unless you spend things? I don't know. I don't remember anymore. I could just take Ocean 1. Then it's not discarded. Although it might get discarded. If you do things to it, I guess. I don't know. Xfinity, Soulwort, Zab, Fab. And now we only have 10 dice. Also, we don't have enough science for Terra Infirma still. We are 1 pip off, but we do have an excess of fleets. We do have nano constructors or salvage rights to maybe help, though. We do have the 4-6. We can definitely do that. Obviously, nano constructors is safer, but salvage rights gives me an extra die. But it's only a 1/3 chance that it hits. I could do 1 fleet to calibrate instead, though. What about the locations that we have here? Xfinity is back, and still kind of bad. So we don't ignore the Axon, because it's not a restriction. These also feel kind of icky. There's no water here either, by the way. And in fact, this is kind of trash, as these are 2 fuels and a crystal, which I already have. So I have to take the top card of the deck, which might do the thing anyway. Unless I don't confront. But if I want to deal with Terra Infirma next turn, then I'm not confronting next turn either. I guess I could... Well... I guess I can't take both the crystal and the water, as that requires Starbase tokens. Accelerated Study could give you the 7 that I need, and I could deal with Terra Infirma, although I still need the 5. If I get a 2, I have to use all of my cards. If I get a 3 or a 4, then it's going to be that plus this 4 card. Terra Infirma for the dice is actually pretty good. But again, if I either take Terra Infirma or remove a water or a crystal, I'm using my Starbase Disc on that. Sucks either way. It's probably why I need to upgrade my Starbase ASAP. Inversion storage. It doesn't actually not that good with nano constructors, is it? Once I'm at Starbase class 5, I can already get things to 6 all the time. Actually, no, if I confront, what am I worried about? If I confront, then I can take anything. Okay, I don't know what I'm worried about then. So turn this into a 6, I guess? So that's confronted. I can't take Terra Infirma. I can't gain influence on Hexfinity. I guess we do the probe instead of rolling the die, as like this basically costs 1 die then. 1/3 the cost. 8 allows for an upgrade. And if I study Hexfinity in one of these two, then I will have the 7 for Terra Infirma next turn. I guess I also have Accelerated Study next turn, but I want to upgrade the Starbase to get more Starbase discs so I can do more stuff. Okay. And I've confronted, all good there. Okay. Is there one of these I would rather have over the other? Maybe Solwart? And let's put as many dice in the discard as possible, I guess. Although it doesn't really matter because I'm going to use the 7 next turn anyway. But making the discard as thick as possible is generally the best approach, right? Let's preserve from the deck. Get a water, okay. The Unseen is here. Oh my god, this roll's trash. I could roll an Ultra Tech or gain an Ultra Tech 3 or roll a Materials. Obviously Ultra Tech's better, but dealing with Terra Infirma is priority right now, I guess. We're not confronting this turn. We don't have that. I mean, we could arguably do one of those if we have enough. Probably not. The fuel is... maybe... well, we're sacrificing energy to this, and all of the others, except for this one, needs energy, but that needs a 5, which I don't have. Also science, which I won't have. Yeah, this is all kind of bad. But we only have one of each, so we're fine on that front. So if I were to set a die to any value, it'd be this one. As the 7 requires 2 dice anyway, so that would minimize the dice needed. And the dice here are more valuable than the plants. I do not have 3 plants, and yeah. So spending a tech disc for materials, or just roll materials and energy for free. That one seems better. So yeah, I think this is what we want. Can't do the unseen, can't do the water. We already used nano constructors, so we can't set this 2 to a 5. Accelerated or Savage Rights could give you the 5, but it's not guaranteed. And we obviously don't have the dice for that. So I think it's just going to be Probe, and then... Then what? I can't do anything with Soulwort. Can't do anything with Zapfab. Study both of them? Could leave them on the board, although 3s are kind of annoying to study, but if we want to try to get an empty board next turn, we want to be able to study as much as we can. We don't really need science for the other side, do we? Oh, I guess we eventually do, but not terrible amounts. We do need fleets, but we need to level up our Federation level first. That gives me millions of fleets, but I don't really need the millions of fleets. At least not just yet. Okay, so I've already confronted, so I do have the adversary disc, so a reshuffle isn't the end of the world. But I do want to make sure the reshuffle is as thick as possible, so I want to avoid just gaining fleets and science as much as possible, as that accelerates the reshuffle and makes the reshuffle really thin unless I spend them in time. Unless it, you know, makes significant progress in the game, such as gives me starbase classes or calibrations to deal with the unseen next turn or something. I think I do want to study one though. I think I will take the 4 fleets. I'm going to study Zabfab as I don't have as many diplomacies as energies. Take the dice. Also, we need colonies. We don't really need techs as much. Study that one. Okay. So we could take from the deck again. Takes a fuel. So these are really cheap. So I can clear the board this turn if my roll is good enough for Unseen. Which it looks pretty good. Could try to get one less die on that, but that's okay. So actually, wait, how many dice do I have here? I have 6. Studying costs 7. So I need to use salvage rights to give me a die. I could use nano constructors to turn this 2 into a 6, and that indirectly gives me a die by taking 1 out. But I don't really need... Like, I'm not doing anything with fleets, so I don't need my dice to be on certain values, and I'm not confronting, and I'm not taking resources off the adversary. It's kind of risky, because I might pull a fuel out of the deck. I guess I could look at the deck. There's 2 out of 9 cards that are fuels. but it is what it is, I guess. Study all of those. I could do this. It's going to either improve or worsen my chances of getting a fuel. Well, it wasn't a fuel, so now we're at a 2 out of 8. Or no, 3 out of 8. Wow, there's more fuels than I thought. Never mind, I don't know how to count. There's 3 fuels there. Alright, it's a 3 out of 8 that they pull a fuel then. It is what it is. Ah. This will be an Ultratech 4, but we want colonies. And this will allow me to use all of my techs now. Study, study, study. Upgrade, sure, why not? Use as many cards as possible. Let's make sure the discard is as thick as possible. Get the milestone. Okay, and they took a water from the deck, so it's fine. They didn't flip an event card yet. They are gonna reshuffle very soon though, so we want to like spend all of our fleets and stuff right away. Make sure the discard is as thick as possible before this turn ends. Very nice roll. I don't have 9 fleets, so I can't confront, but we could spend on these things to get resources back. We have lots of discs that we can use. Also, getting rid of things on the adversary puts them in the discard, makes the discard thicker, so that's pretty good too. And we can use all of these. This does take a card from the deck, I guess, but we can use salvage rights to do roll a diplomacy, increase one of my dice by 2. Instead of rolling an Ultratech, I could roll a diplomacy and increase one of my dice by 2. I guess which is more valuable? Do I need the die to be a specific color? Do I need to calibrate a die? Is a question. We can't do the exiling yet. Yeah. As the sunlight is here, this gets rid of fleets. Normally this is an unlock, I think, so the 3/3 for 2 influences. Normally not always available, but since I ignore restrictions, I can do it. And that seems like a pretty nice colony to have. Vo also gives me a tech disc, which will power up this one. Actually, can I do Terra Inferno this turn? Hold on. Hold on. Yes, I can. Of course, the cost of all of my dice, but... Okay. Making this a 6 saves the die as well. Which... This one doesn't require the energy, the other 2 do. But getting a colony is pretty high value. Also, yeah, so this uses up all my science if I do it this way, which is good. So that does that one. If I use Verdant Network and I increase this by 2, that also saves a die? And it gives me It saves a die and it gives me an ultra tech. Or sorry, it doesn't. It gives me a diplomacy die. It gives me this back, which doesn't really do much, but it can be nano constructed, which would be pretty good value. Although the diplomacy die is actually not high value. Other than it could turn into an ultra tech with this one. Or I could already ultra tech with this one. Although actually I would want that there. I mean, this can already be, like, we want to spend our fleets, so we want to increase that to a 3 or a 5 anyway, so that uses up 2 of the 5 fleets. Might as well spend a fleet to, like, increase this by 1 instead or something. So let's do that one. Alright, let's get the Ultra Tech then. Sick. Look at this. Look at this. I just did 3 rows. Oh yeah. All right, fuel, water, crystal. No fleets, no science. I can gain a science, I guess. Do I want to though? Do I want the reshuffle to be as thick as possible? Is it even during a reshuffle at that point? I don't think it is. Wait, it's not reshuffling. Wait. Okay, well, let's do this then. I'm spending so much time doing seemingly nothing, by the way. Okay, engage. Colony. And then we get a choice on what to liberate here. Oh, is this going to discard cards? I guess not. Let's take the higher one. It didn't discard. Yay! Oh, and yeah, it is going to do the reshuffle, by the way, but that's fine. We're set up for that. Fuel, crystal. Let's do the crystal one. Although this one is pretty cheap to get. Over 4 turns, though. So I'll just take it from the deck. Alright, so that's aside the event. Overwhelm triggered, but we had the disc. Now we need to do another confront, but we have a 29 card deck. Solidarians are here. So if I take Solidarians, I can do the 3 tech discs. Federation level. Ah, stop it. Alright, let's see. Well, we don't have the 9 fleets for that. Okay, we need to get fleets then. Need to get all the fleets. Spend 2 fleets to add an influence to each location. I don't have fleets, so it's going to be this one. I could exile colonies with 3 thingies, 3 types, not resources, but colors. Then I'll lose a lot of my dice next turn, but it does give me Federation level 3, which makes this set 3 of my dice to the same value. I don't think that's valuable. We definitely need fleets to confront. So I say we start by getting as many fleets as possible. We need 9 fleets. Let's get 9 fleets. Okay. Probably don't need to push for Starbase Class 4. Although we could still do a probe for free. All these numbers are really high, so nanoconstructors isn't even doing that much. If I take Vo, I could use that for the 3 elements, keeping the energy and the materials. Solidarians we're not going to get next turn if we're confronting next turn. So I'll need to get more fleets for the next turn. Namnamud. Don't know what the restriction is on Namnamud. But 2 influence on 3 dice is bad. 3 influence on numbers of dice also seems bad. So I guess we'll work on the SS Sunlight. I can take this out. And then we can take a fuel out. So how are you supposed to just click out? Okay. Because every time I'm like clicking on this button, then I click this button, it pulls up that. Because I keep thinking that button is going to collapse the reveal, but it just shows what your cards are underneath, which is what we need to be able to see. It's just not doing what I was expecting it to do. So that takes a fuel off of the Preservation Authority, so I could take a fuel off from here. Like Namnamud is fine because I don't think I'm going to claim it. We do have a pending event, and that event is going to do something. What that something is, we'll never know. Still wish there was a way to see events on the screen, but it is what it is. All right, so nanoconstructors doesn't do anything. So just do the probe. All right, so this is this one. Preserve 1 resource, either a location in the Discovery Zone or the top card of the Galaxy deck. Skip this step if this event was played immediately because of its matching resource, which it wasn't. Then the adversary gains the condition below. Overgrowth. The number in each wide box is increased by 1 for each preserved plant. So we have 1 plant right now, so wide boxes are +1 right now. So we can take a crystal, and that's fine. Taking from the top of the deck. Actually, we have to do this twice, right? So we have to do a crystal and a fuel. Although I wanted that one. So I can do fuel. Yeah, that's fine. You've got mail is now 11:11. But I ignore restrictions. Okay. I would like to do this. I do have the 5 and the 6 for that. Definitely doing that. Okay. And then I have to build up to take down Solidarians next turn. Because I don't have enough fleets for it this turn as the result. Nanoconstructors gives me the 6 that I need for the confrontation. But we have salvage rates and nothing else to use it on, so I'll use that. Out of 6. So I do this one. Okay. So we confront. We also want influence on SS Sunlight. I don't know where the die went. I could not see where the die went. I guess I'd rather use this. Okay. 2 more turns on that. I can't remove the water because I'm confronting. So just build up as many fleets. We need 4 fleets. So we'll take 6. I mean, I guess we need 5 and 7 later, so we could just keep getting fleets. I don't really need to study because we could already just, like... We could do the... Steal the resource from You've Got Mail. Or Zabfab, actually. You've Got Mail is actually a little more annoying since it has the +1 from plants. Study. These are unequal numbers, by the way. Kind of rude. Is there a way to fix that? No. So I guess that means I gain 1 fleet and I study Zabfab. And then I have you take You've Got Mail. And now I don't want to upgrade to Starbase as I have to confront Solidarians next turn. I don't want to study SS Sunlight. I don't want to upgrade. Confronted. Alright, so 4 is now the number. I'm just going to take You've Got Mail, though. That's fine. 10 cards left in the deck. 8 cards left in the deck. Really bad roll for Solidarians. I might need to actually get Nano Constructors leveled up. Which means I'm going to lose dice for next turn. We're definitely not using Expeditionary Force. Let's use this first. Oh, that doesn't help. I can calibrate a little bit. I guess, okay. I could actually spend my fleets on this. Or just 1 fleet, and I just need to turn this into a 5. Okay, so 1 fleet is fine. I don't really want to use up... I don't want to use this up on, like, these. If I take Solidarians, I can burn up the 3 tech disc ones. I lose a diplomacy for doing that. Or sorry, materials. I keep calling it the wrong thing. But... that's fine, really. Alright, so I can't confront, so we could look at this side instead if we want. So if I'm only spending 1 fleet, I could do this. But removing the plant is pretty important. But I definitely don't have the diplomacy for it. All my diplomacy is going everywhere. Alright, so set this. Calibrate that. Science. I don't have 2 2s. Fleets. Okay, so Solidarians is done. I guess I could have accelerated study to see if I got a 2 off that. Might be too late because I clicked this. Is it? No. I think if I look at the discard, it would be too late. Alright, do I get a 2 off that? No, I got a 3. Okay. So it's going to be the 4 fleets. Okay. We could get 2 more influence on SS Sunlight. Although, that said, it does screw over my ability to get the water. I could spend 2 fleets. Wait, I didn't even say I had anything to do with losing the water. I could spend 2 fleets to get a 5. By removing this. I could spend science to roll Ultratex, I guess. I can only have 1 starbase disc. Oh, I wanted plants, so that's one. I was looking at the wrong one. Never mind. I'm looking at the wrong one. I mean, the energy's trivial. Water is less trivial. Or sorry, not water. Diplomacy is less trivial. Although we do have an Ultratech 4 here if I want. So if I roll an Ultratech, it would ideally be 5, and I do have 2 calibrations I could use. Alright, I'm gonna do this one. Gets me a 3. Which works. So that's done. I can't do that one, can't do that one. Definitely can't do that one. Okay. So now we want to get our fleets back. As we definitely have to get to 5 fleets to confront. That's actually tough. I need one of these to be... I need that 3 to be a 1 or a 2. Oh, it's awkward, isn't it? Yeah, so the only dice is on the plants. Everything else is here. These are immovable. Sort of. Wait. Hold on. So I calibrated something, didn't I? Yeah. That only needs to be a 5, so if I do this, I save a fleet. And then I can do a really weird thing where I calibrate this down. Does that make sense? Does it make sense to calibrate down so I can get fleets? Hold on. Hold on. I mean, if I can spend all of these on fleets, I get 5 fleets. But I currently can't. All I can really do is spend these 3, which puts me at 4. So if I calibrate to get to 5 versus using these 3 to get to 4 fleets... I profit 1 fleet is what it does. But is it better to profit 1 fleet versus like studying Flutara? We're definitely not having them take Flutara because we don't want to get rid of their plants. I don't anticipate wanting to colonize Flutara either. Maybe I just study it. In which case, I mean, because I guess I want 5 fleets next turn, don't I? I also need 31 energy. Or sorry, 30 energy because we'll get rid of a plant. Energy's gonna be a bit hard, although we will level up. So we can set 3 dice to the same number. So it might be a little easier. Okay, yeah, I think we want to get to 5 fleets then. Okay. Where am I? Oh, there it is. Also, I hope I'm not doing a reshuffle that's really thin. So we definitely want to take from here, right? Don't want that plant. We can take Zabfab. Okay. So if I do accelerated study, I'm actually going to do a reshuffle when I don't want it. You think I'm fine because I'm nearing the end of the game? Well, I still need to get to Federation level 4, but I'm glad that you have confidence in me. So let's get rid of the tech discs. Because we already claimed them for the turn, right? So I can do this. Okay. I have the cards to get to level 4. True. True. Okay. No encounters here, so I'm always using this. Want to spend everything as much as possible, so definitely do this, and then this one. And spending the... Okay. So we do have an Ultra Tech here. Let's go ahead and spend it. That's fine. Oh, that was almost sick. I think that's a pretty good energy roll, though. Too short. But we can change this to a 6. And then other things. Alright, so I definitely want to claim SS Sunlight before the reshuffle. I can't because this influence comes after... Oh, man. It sucks. Okay. Well, I'm definitely taking SS Sunlight. I don't care about you. I don't care about you, but I'm taking SS Sunlight. So really, I've gotten the deck as thin as possible. I could do accelerated study now. I don't think there's any reason to wait on it, really. Because, like, the influence I gain from here is going to trigger the reshuffle. So I might as well have science for next turn. Right? Well, that was sucky. Yeah, so SS Sunlight gives me more options for this one. Well, not really. I'm always exiling this one, and I'm exiling this one over that one, right? So I have exactly the same options. Well, technically I have 2 options. It's just that one of them is significantly worse than the other. So I guess the rest of this is just going towards fleets then, isn't it? Well, I need fleets and science. I need 7 fleets. It doesn't matter if you exile them on the same time, on the same turn that they confront. True. I can probe for 2. This gives me 7 fleets. So I got the 7 fleets. And then... unless this probe and this probe gives me... Oh, I have to finish this crap. Okay. Okay, never mind. Never mind. Buttons. Actually, wait. No, there's a better way to do this. I think. Maybe. Okay. Okay, so we still get the 7 fleets. We get the probe plus this probe. If both of these are 2s, then I can't win next turn. Well, one of them is a 2. Preserve 1 resource. Exactly the same. For every 2 preserved waters, the cost to study or launch a probe is increased by 1. Alright. So we don't want to do plants, so it's ice cream or a card from the deck. So it's going to be ice cream, right? Like, a plant makes this 61. Oh, it's also gonna do this crap. Okay. Preserve from the deck anyway. It was a water. No one cares. Wait. Wait, no. 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 I hit a fuel. No. I can't undo. Alright. At the end of the results phase, spend 1 fleet for preserved fuels for each fleet missing, discard 1 card. Okay. I did it dumb. Okay. You do you, game. You do you. Alright, so I don't need to exile this turn because I can't confront anyway. I mean, I obviously don't need to spend fleets for the crystals. Well, actually, I don't have crystals. I don't need to spend science. I'll just need a fleet buffer and I can confront next turn. If only there was a way to get fleets. If only there was a way. Also, for every 2 preserved water, the cost to study or launch a probe is increased by 1. So it's 3 to launch a probe. Studying is 1 die per thing plus 1. Yeah. It's nice that that updates. Kudos to Jean-Marc. Kudos where kudos is due. This doesn't do a reshuffle, right? 3, 6, 8, 9. It's gonna do 4 cards out of the deck. And I obviously have to spend 4? 3? Yeah, 3. Study Starburger, because screw you, game. Sorry, screw fell out of my chair. It's a non-important screw, by the way, in case you're worried. Oh no, he fell out of his chair. No, it's just like I was fiddling with this like cover that has a screw on it because the cover never actually fit. So I don't know what the screw is doing really. I'm just not gonna touch it. How about that? Yeah, I'll just be cheerful. So like what? I could do water, but it's not gonna do frickin' anything. Yeah, no, just engage. Just like engage. Oh, this is 5 days. Ow. Ow. All of those are plants. All right, we already did the water one. We already did the fuel one. There's 2 plants there. Of course it's a plant. Of course. Why wouldn't it be? All right, so no encounters. Oh. Do I have 61 pips? All right, 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 41, 46, 50, 54, 58, 61. We won! Yay! You want your steak well done? Yeah, we can do that. All right. The success of your federation has shown the Preservation Authority the error of its ways. Yay. We won there, we won there. Yay. All right. So that is the campaign thus far. We'll continue this maybe next week if we so choose. But as you can see, this is how it works. We got these free startup bonuses, the kickstart or whatever. Jumpstart, that word. We get to use the 2 fleet to a location exactly once, which helps with turn 1, of course. I mean, I could use it on any turn, but those one-time use things are kind of consistent with the idea that turn 1 is the strong turn and gets you jump-started. But, yeah. That was the campaign mode. You also got to see the Preservation Authority today. Preservation Authority functioning pretty well. Had some bugs with the optimization calibrator of all things, but we submitted the bugs, so it's very good. I know that we are hoping for this to be released sometime soon, so maybe you'll get to play campaign mode digitally very soon. And or Preservation Authority comes. I don't know if that was already released, but this is the first time I played the game in months and I haven't paid attention to the releases because I just am a beta tester, so I get to see stuff before it's already public. But early access is fun and exciting for everyone anyway, so of course you want to see it on your own tabletop, and you will very soon. Check out Handelabra Live Tuesdays at 3 p.m. to also see content before it is publicly available. John has been demoing a lot of Spirit Island Jagged Earth content. Jagged Earth is also in early access. I believe it's currently released with 1 adversary, 1 or 2 spirits, and all of the event cards and blight cards and power cards. And I know they're currently working on Russia and Many Minds Move as 1, I think. You can check out Handelabra.com to see exactly what they intend on their release order for Jagged Earth content. You could also see John play Sentinels of the Multiverse / Sentinels of Earth Prime, namely if he plays Oblivion, because that's usually what he does, which is cool. Check out the stream whenever I stream. Next week, it looks like I'm working Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, so most likely I'll just slide myself into a Friday night stream next week. Friday, May 3rd will be my next stream. And let's plan for One Deck Galaxy as well. Actually, no, that's the start of the month, so it's actually my monthly Oblivion match. So it's actually 2 weeks until we do more One Deck Galaxy stuff. And by then, I'm sure all of this stuff will be in early access as well. But it's been fun. Hope you enjoyed yourself. I will see you guys next week. Have a good one.